Hey, prospectors, Tony from Gold Talk, Leonora, back out on site. Say that a lot, but we're always on the site. So I thought I'd give you a bit of an update of what's going on. Lisa and I just got back from our training courses down in Mandurah, which also acts as our little holiday. So we had a week off down there hunting dolphins. Just remember, they are the rats of the sea. You will hopefully see teaspoons down the bottom. I broke teaspoons just before we went on holidays, and that's going to be a costly repair that'll take a couple of months. But needless to say, teaspoons will be back in action at some point soon. It's such a bloody awesome machine, that. I got it cheap. We've spent money on it in all the right areas, with all new sort of parts and things, and it's going really well. The last of the major works that I had to do, I thought, right, because it basically needed everything bloody done to it. And the very last thing that I had scheduled, I'd scheduled for this winter, which is sort of traditionally our downtime. And lo and behold, Teaspoons had other ideas and decided to poop itself. And so the maintenance that was going to happen in June, July is happening now. And of course that forced our hand a little bit, and so the digger I'm in at the moment is a new one, or new to us. This one's called Tommy. More on him later. And this is actually my first morning digging with Tommy, and so I'm just taking him nice and slow whilst we get to know one another. But first impressions is an absolute bloody cracker. And it's got air conditioning. Holy crap. And a cup holder for my coffee. Holy moly. I don't know what to do with myself. So we did have a lot of rain out on site, which is fantastic for the country. You'll very rarely hear me complain about the weather. And as I said, the animals needed it, the trees needed it, and everything now is as green as green. And just looking an absolute bloody treat out here. The bird life has been the amazing thing. Crikey bloody Moses, the amount of budgies and finches and you name it, it's all here. So it's going really good. And so what we do in this sort of situation, generally I try and keep a couple of work sites open, because sometimes the rain will hit one spot but not the other. In this particular case, this turned out to be the best side of the lot, because we're up on a rise here, and whilst we got rain, we're not down in the low-lying areas where it's going to be many weeks away. So we got back a couple of days ago. First thing I do is jump on the bulldozer, which Goosebumps, and going into the sun, but you can see Goosebumps is up there. And in the work sites, because I know that there's gold here now, so this will all go through the dry blower anyway, and you can see Lisa dipping a few floors over there. But basically I turn everything over with Goosebumps, let that bit dry out for a day, turn it over. It's a bit more fuel, but again, it's not on spec. I know that the ground is rich enough to sustain that. So for the sake of 300 or 400 litres of diesel, it's well worth it. If it can get us there a day or two or 3 or 10 quicker. The thing about dry blowing is that what you don't want to do is, or what you can't do, is run dirt that clumps. And if you grab a bit of dirt and you hold it stays in that shape, then it's no good for dry blowing. If it falls apart, I would still say it's a little bit too early. When it falls apart easily without sort of touching it or prompting it, then that's the time to start working. And basically, you can see it in the bucket. What'll happen is when you pick up a bucket, it's a bit like a jelly, and it moves and bubbles, and that's when the dirt's nice to run. So what I'm sort of doing down here is, as I said, we've had a couple of days of moving it around with the dozer, so I'm just going for a bit of a scratch and just seeing what we've got, what we're dealing with. You might be able to pick up there underneath, she's still wet, but if it's only the bottom inch or so, I should be able to blend that in with the other dirt and get away with it. So I wanted to cover, yeah, and you can see a bit of damp dirt underneath there, but that'll be alright. It's a great size excavator, Tommy. It's a 16 tonner, so a little bit bigger, but being a lot more modern, it's pretty nice. It's even got an auto lube system. Bloody hell, never had one of those before. I'll be getting spoiled. And as I said, I've just got it in slow mode, just while I get used to how it handles, how it responds. And whilst the controls on all these excavators are the same, pretty much the same, they're all different. They all sort of handle and respond differently. So rather than bashing the crapper out of everything, I just prefer to go a little bit slower and see how it performs. So I wanted to cover a couple of little points. That's nice, you can see the wind blowing the dust away, that's a good thing. And that is the price of metal detectors. I have covered this a couple of times before in the Gold, Gem and Treasure magazines, and I think one of these little videos. But the talk at the moment is that Minelab are increasing their prices as of January next year. And basically the retailers spruik the shit out of that, because then they get to sell more detectors before Christmas. I mean, the timing is impeccable. Call me cynical, but the timing is impeccable. There are other brands out there other than Minelab. I don't use them because, as far as metal detecting for gold, Minelab are the best. I'm not affiliated with Minelab. I don't really care anything about the company other than they make the best metal detectors for gold. And if someone else produces a better quality detector, I'll be using it. So I have no loyalties, is what I'm saying to it. Having said that, I'm very grateful to Minelab, because the technology they have produced over the years has allowed, at least for myself, to make a living out of gold. And whilst business is business, I'm very grateful for that. Yeah, I think this dirt will blend in alright, actually. of hoping by early next week I'll be able to run this. That would be very nice. So Minelab are putting their prices up. Lots of people get their knickers in a knot, and even more people ask the question, should I upgrade? I'm not going to be telling you anything that I haven't mentioned before to people. So none of the information that I'm talking about here is new, but it may be new to some of you. So I think it's of relevance, and perhaps it's a good idea to remind those that are a bit more experienced of a different sort of point of view, and it's only my point of view. And here's the thing, and I've written it down, a 5,000 is going up to 5,659, a 6,000, 9,300, and a 7,000, 10,800. Okay, so that's a price rise. I haven't worked out what it is as far as a percentage. Oh, there's Lisa down there. Hope she's not having a wee. I better turn her around. Just in case she is. Yeah. But the other thing I did there is I just put the price of gold. We know at the moment it's about, what is it, $4,000 an ounce. In 2020, it was 1772 US, and in 2022 it's about 1,800 bucks. Again, without working out the figures, I couldn't be bothered. But the thing is, the price of gold has increased dramatically, and I do believe that when they say, you know, cost of production and inflation, etc., etc., has taken its toll, I believe that, because it's taken that with just about everything, and I think a lot of people are certainly feeling that pain out there, whether it's going and buying a loaf of bread, paying car insurances, whatever. It's things have certainly gone up. And how does that affect the price of metal detectors? Well, it bloody does, because metal detectors is like any other consumer item. It costs money to produce. Oh, yeah. Just make sure Lisa's away. They cost money to produce. And just as importantly, the company producing them deserve a profit, and they must make a profit, otherwise they're not going to keep on producing them. They're doing it for the fun of it. And they'll talk about, you know, shareholder obligations and all of that bullshit. But they're a business, and businesses are there to make money and be bought and sold and everything else. So the question is, after all that nonsense, is should you upgrade? Should you buy that detector now? Well, the problem is I can't answer that for you. And the main reason is that everybody has different horsepower, different depths of pockets. There's plenty of millionaires out there, and there's plenty of people on the bones of their arse as well. It's one of the things we see all the time through our training courses, is people from all walks of life, and all sorts of financial positions, I would think, and they're all in the same bloody boat. They've got no idea what they're doing, and they're trying to find gold. It's a great thing. It's one of the things I love about it. So, not knowing your financial position means I can't really give you any advice from your personal financial point of view. What I can say is a couple of points, and that is that almost every person that buys a metal detector retailers of metal detectors. The most common thing that retailers laugh about, in a good way, the main thing they laugh about is that people, one of the things they say when they're deciding whether they can buy a detector or not, many of them say, right, well, how long is it going to take me to pay this back? And the honest answer for 99% of people is never. You're never going to pay it back. I think it's really important and sensible to work out what it is you want from your gold prospecting, where you sort of fit into the scheme of things. I encourage people to chase gold and be hungry for gold, and I don't care whether you're up here for 2 weeks of the year and that's it. You can prospect professionally, and there's nothing wrong with being having a little bit of gold fever and being hungry for the gold. To go around and spend 10 grand on a metal detector, well, the way I look at it is pretty simply, if you go into that realising that, okay, you could get that money back, but you probably never will, I think it's a safer financial path. I am a conservative person financially by nature, so that sort of suits my little narrative anyway. So the first thing is, don't expect to get a return on your so-called investment. So if we look at buying a metal detector as a purchase of disposable income, it then takes on a whole new meaning. And that's where it does come down to horsepower, how much money you have, how much you want to spend, blah blah blah. Some people go on trips down the Rhine River on those boats. Oopsies. Steady on, Tommy. Steady. Jeez. He wants to get into top speed and get digging. No, we need to get to know one another first, Tommy. Good boy. That's it. Good boy. Let's just see what you like. Anyway, yeah, so they're going down and sucking on expensive bottles of booze and having a fat old time, and for mum and dad they wind up spending $20,000, and all they get out of it is an experience and probably a nasty flu from the plane ride. So, and that's great. I've got no issues with that. Some people spend it on gambling. People spend their money on lots of things, and that's their bloody choice. So if you want to go and spend 10 grand on a metal detector and you can afford it, go and do it. But part of the decision making process I would sort of employ is along these lines, and that is, if you think you need to upgrade your metal detector, it's already too late. You do. Metal detecting is a lot of hard work, a lot of fun, but it's very much a mental game. Very much. And by that I mean, if you don't have confidence in your equipment, in yourself, in the area you're working, blah blah blah, you're wasting your time. I talk about this a lot on the training courses. It is you being in a positive frame of mind and expecting to find gold is critical to you finding gold. If you're walking around with detector A and you're hearing all the posts on Facebook and all this bull dust about we're getting this gold and this gold and this gold, half of it's untrue, by the way, probably 3/4 of it. and you think that, well, if I buy myself a new detector B, then I'll be getting that sort of gold as well. There's an element of truth to that, and if you believe it, you can do it. So I suppose what I'm saying is that your equipment is such a vital component, and for you to have confidence in that gear and to feel as though you've got the best chance of finding gold really does make a difference to whether you do or don't find gold. So that's a bit of a thing you've got to consider. The other thing I'd say, which is a little bit of mental gymnastics, because ultimately we can convince ourselves that anything that we need to purchase is important enough. Usually, I don't know about you, but usually for me it comes down to trying to convince Lisa, and when I want to buy something silly, and yes, I am scared of it. So this dirt's looking really nice. Very happy with this. It's dried out nicely. But when I'm looking at making a purchase of discretionary dollars, there's a couple of things I look at, and that is, I look at the cost. Oh, what's Lisa doing? She's digging up some gold or a bit more junk over there? What's his? She's over there working. I look at what the object is going to cost me. So let's say a metal detector, $10,000. So I'll look and say, righto, I happen to have an excess $10,000 in the bank. Wouldn't that be lovely? So I look at the purchase price, and I look at the sale price if I need to get rid of it in a hurry. So if I buy a detector for 10 grand and I need to get rid of it within the week, let's say 8 grand, you know, plus or minus, that's not the point. So for me, apart from tying up capital, tying up money into an object, into a thing, for me the real cost to my bank balance, the real cost in that particular scenario would be around 2 grand. It's not 10 grand, it's the differential in purchase and sale price. Alright, if I look at it in that light, a couple of grand for a metal detector, and actually they've always been, irrespective of price, it's always been about a 2 grand changeover figure, just letting you know. So if you're looking at a figure of a couple of grand, it takes on possibly a new meaning. Yeah, I'm really liking this. Really nice positive controls. Not too twitchy. It's pretty good. We can just get a little bit of that darker dirt, try and blend it in with the dry stuff, and I think all should be well. Equation, and I talk about this, but I'm full of shit because I rarely follow it. I try to, but I just don't. And that is the fact. Life is short, my friends. if you can afford it, why not buy it and have a crack at it? For those of you that are prospecting full time, or you know, pretty close to it, then without sounding arrogant, finding $10,000 worth of gold shouldn't be that hard for you. It's arrogant, but I think it's a fair comment to make that if you can't find 10 grand's worth of gold with a 6,000, then you're doing something wrong. In terms of what to buy, the best that you can afford would be the advice. We'll go back and see how Lisa's going over there. Would always be the best that you can afford. If someone came to me and said they you know, they've hired detectors a few times, they're really enjoying it, they want to buy something, irrespective of money, I would say buy yourself a 6,000. I love the 7,000, but for me there's very little that I can do with a 7,000 that I can't do with a 6,000, and I haven't got any weight issues apart from my own. What you got over there? More gold, that's good. But yeah, look, I'd be going the 6. The thing is that the measure of success prospecting is getting gold, and even if it's only a couple of rice size grains of gold and you're bringing those in each day, that makes you feel good, and that makes you feel good about your purchase. I think a point that's often forgotten though is, because we talk and we accept $10,000 as a price tag on a bloody metal detector, but what I'd ask you to consider is that you don't need to spend $10,000 on a detector at all. I would maintain that a good prospector with $100 worth of gold pans and buckets and a bit of water, some jerry cans, can find overall more gold with a panning dish than you ever will with a bloody detector. It's just something to remember, that if you are in a position where you busted ass broke, and there's nothing wrong with that, we've all been there, Lisa and I certainly have, but if you busted ass broke and you want to go prospecting, you still bloody can. But stop thinking about the metal detector and start thinking about actually prospecting, getting out there with a dish and gaining the knowledge of how to use the damn thing. I firmly believe that if you know what you're doing, you can make more money in today's market with a dish than a detector. Second thing I wanted to talk about, because we had a couple of short videos while we're on holiday, I'm making up for it with a big long polywaffle. Another thing worth sort of thinking of or talking about is, I just wanted to touch briefly on APLA. APLA is the Amalgamated Prospectors and Leaseholders Association. There's a muppet on Facebook going around saying you don't need to be in any organisation to prospect in Western Australia. And that's entirely true. That's correct. You don't need to be in any organisation at all. You don't need to join APLA. What I would say is, when you're making a decision about whether you do or whether you don't, I'd say that it's important that you understand that APLA is not a club. It's not a metal detecting club, anything like that. Yes, it does some training. Yes, it takes people out to the bush, which is just absolutely fantastic. But that's not what APLA is there for. APLA isn't an organisation, an association that protects the rights of prospectors in Western Australia. It's done it since 1904. And what I can absolutely guarantee 300% is that if it was not for APLA, Lisa and I, for one, would not be prospecting today, and most likely you would not be prospecting today, or it would certainly look very, very different than it is. I think it's really important to remember that APLA for the most part is a volunteer organisation, and it's relying on people, for the most part, their goodwill and dedication to prospecting in general. People on the executive committees, etc., that get involved, and it costs them time, it costs them money in terms of fuel and meetings and everything else, and they don't have to bloody do it, but they do. For yourselves, it's whatever it is, $110 a year for your application, and forget that you don't expect anything out of it. You do get stuff out of it, an opportunity, but forget that. It's, if you like, it's a smaller insurance policy to keep you and perhaps your children and grandchildren and whatever detecting into the future. Why wouldn't you join APLA? It doesn't matter where you are in Australia. We are all Australians, and if you're coming into the West, even for one trip, join the bloody association, become a financial member. It will be a benefit to you when you're approaching companies, so there is a direct benefit there. But most importantly, what you're doing is supporting the association that's bloody keeping you going. For me, it's an absolute no-brainer. So I just wanted to say that. Last thing I'm going to prattle on about, because guess what, it's that time of the year. What day have we got? I think it's Friday the 20th, and Christmas Day is next Wednesday, so it's as good as time as any to say Merry Christmas. I absolutely love Christmas. I never used to as a kid for lots of different reasons, but I'm full on into it. We go Christmas decorations. We got some weird looking animatronic things hanging off the wall. We got tinsel everywhere. I bloody love it. Lisa and I work through Christmas. We've sort of had our little family time the last couple of weeks. This is our busy time of the year, so we need to get into it. But the thing is, again, it's prattling. We always feel so lucky to be doing what we're doing. We never lose sight of the support that we get from people, from the prospecting community. And it might be watching one of our stupid ass videos, it might be coming along doing a training course. It was when Lisa was sick this winter, or last winter, June, July, we had people that were giving us little presents to say that they cared. I mean, I know it sounds a bit touchy-feely, but it's true, you know, like just random stuff, like a couple of pairs of lovely socks, just things that people had they could give and say, look, we understand you're going through a tough time, we're here if you need us. And for me, that for me is absolutely what prospecting is all about, is you the people. We do these videos partially to put good information out there, but mainly so that we hope that you feel a little steady, Tommy, steady, naughty. That hopefully you feel a part of our prospecting operation. That's what we really want. No bullshit, no dramas with our prospecting and mining. Just a quirky sense of humour and a strong work ethic. That's what we want. We genuinely hope that you get time off over the festive period. We hope that you get off your backsides and do your research over summer. That's the time to be doing it. And if you don't know how to do your research, bloody learn. We do thank you, and we look forward to seeing and meeting a shit ton of you next year. Good on you, Minelab. You produce the best product in the market, and you deserve every success you get. Good on you, APLA. For a largely volunteer organisation, you people are amazing. We're in awe of the work you do, and we thank you for doing it. It's kept Lisa and myself in business over the years. Santa Claus, I love you. Even though you're a fat old bastard, and I seem to be turning into one of them myself, I reckon you just shit up, mate. And I believe you're real. Prospectors, will catch you in the next vid. Take care.